Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I'd love to know what you think. Every comment helps me make the next story better. Subscribe to stay tuned. The smell of mesquite charcoal mixed with sunscreen and lake water. October in Austin meant perfect weather. 78 degrees, light breeze off the lake. The kind of Saturday afternoon where you forget the world has problems. Troy was manning his portable Weber near the picnic tables at Barton Springs Pool, flipping burgers while arguing about whether Texas could make the playoff. I stood there holding a Lone Star, watching the crowd of friends who'd gathered for what had become our monthly hangout. These days, I spent more time calculating what topics might trigger Nicole than actually enjoying myself. My wife stood across the picnic area with 3 other women, laughing about something. For a moment, she looked like the woman I'd married 2.5 years ago. Then I heard her voice get louder. "My husband thinks he can tell me what to do." Several people turned to look. Troy caught my eye with a sympathetic glance. I'd heard this building for months. The pattern was always the same. I'd make a reasonable suggestion. She'd escalate immediately. Then came the threat. Maybe I should just do whatever I want. It started 6 months ago. August. I'd asked if she could check with me before spending $400 on clothes. Her response: "Maybe I should just do whatever I want then. It's my money." 3 weeks later, I mentioned it would be nice if she'd text when she'd be late. Same response: "I should just do what I want. You're not my father." September brought more of the same. October too. Each time I tried to discuss anything, the threat appeared like clockwork. I glanced at my watch. 5:45. We had dinner reservations at 7. I walked over to where Nicole stood with her friends. "Hey, we should probably head out soon. Reservations at 7. Nicole turned to face me. "We don't need to leave yet. I'm having fun." "We made a reservation. It takes 30 minutes to get there. So cancel it." I said I'm having fun. I'd rather not waste the reservation. We've been here 3 hours. Nicole's hands went to her hips. Her voice carried across the entire picnic area. "You know what, Brandon? Maybe I should just do whatever I want. You don't get to control when I leave or what I do." Complete silence fell over the group. Someone's phone speaker stopped mid-song. Even the kids playing nearby seemed to pause. 23 people, all watching. A few uncomfortable laughs rippled through the crowd. One guy muttered "damn" under his breath. I took a slow sip of my beer. A genuine smile spread across my face. Not uncomfortable. Actually amused. "You're absolutely right, Nicole. You should do whatever you want." I paused, starting with finding a new place to live. I set my beer down carefully on the picnic table. "Thanks for hosting, Troy. Great burgers as always." I walked to the parking lot without looking back. Behind me, urgent whispers exploded. Nicole's voice. "Wait, what? Brandon." I didn't turn around. Got in my Honda CR-V and drove away. My phone started buzzing before I left the parking lot. I turned it to silent. The drive home took 20 minutes. I sat in complete silence. No music. Just the feeling of something clicking into place. Not anger. Relief. A calm, cold clarity that felt like coming home after a long trip. I thought about the pattern. Every single disagreement for 6 months had ended the same way. The threat. And I'd backed down every time to keep the peace. I'd been teaching her that threats worked. I parked in my assigned spot at the townhouse. Sat in the car for 10 minutes with the engine off. My phone showed 14 missed calls and 27 texts. I glanced at them. All variations of "what did you mean by that?" and "you're being ridiculous," and "everyone thinks you've lost it." Not one text said, "I'm sorry." Not one asked why I was upset. I turned the phone off completely and went inside. Walking through the townhouse felt different. This was MY Townhouse. I'd purchased it 2 years before we got married. Her stuff was everywhere. Throw pillows I hated. Decorative candles. Her yoga mat permanently blocking the hallway. I grabbed another Lone Star and went to the patio. My neighbor Dennis was on his side of the shared wall. Retired firefighter, late 50s, good guy. He looked over when I sat down. "Everything all right? Heard you two going at it this morning before you left." "Actually, Dennis, everything's about to be a lot better." He gave me a knowing nod. "Overheard a few of those arguments through the wall. Not my business, but good for you, son." I spent the evening making a plan. Opened my laptop and created a spreadsheet. Everything that needed to happen. Change locks Monday morning at 8. Pack her belongings Monday and Tuesday. Contact divorce attorney Monday afternoon. Document the pattern. Calculate separate versus marital property. Prepare storage unit. Notify select friends. I went through my phone and took screenshots. 47 different instances of that threat. Dated them all. August 14th, August 22nd, September 3rd, on and on. Saved everything to cloud storage. Created a PDF titled Pattern of Threats, August to October 2025. Nicole still hadn't come home. She was staying at a friend's place, waiting for me to apologize and beg her to come back. Her usual pattern. Sunday, I researched divorce attorneys in Austin. Read Texas divorce law. Looked up locksmith services. Price storage units. Went through the house cataloging what was hers versus mine. Made a list of mutual friends who'd witnessed various incidents. Wrote out a timeline of the relationship deteriorating. That evening, Dennis joined me on the patio with a cigar. I accepted one, though I don't usually smoke. Wife left me about 15 years back, Dennis said. Different situation, but I remember that look you got. When a man's had enough, he's had enough. 6 months of the same threat, every single time we disagreed about anything. My ex used to threaten to leave every argument. One day, I said there's the door. She was shocked I called the bluff. What happened? She left. Came back 2 days later expecting everything to be fine. Locks were changed. Best decision I ever made. We sat in comfortable silence. I felt validated by someone who'd been there. I fell asleep peacefully for the first time in months. No anxiety about what mood Nicole would be in. No wondering what innocent comment would trigger the threat. Just quiet. Monday morning I woke naturally. No alarm. Made coffee in my French press. Nicole always complained it was a hipster affectation. My phone showed a text from 6:30. I'm coming home this afternoon. We need to talk about your behavior Saturday. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. No mention of her behavior. No acknowledgement of the threat. I didn't respond. At 8 sharp, the locksmith van pulled up. Gary was mid-40s with a seen-it-all expression. Changing all the locks. Every single one. Gary glanced at the wedding photo on the wall, but said nothing. She's been threatening to do whatever she wants for 6 months. I'm helping her start fresh. Say no more. I've done about 3 of these a month for 10 years. Let me guess. She's shocked you actually did something about it? Hasn't figured it out yet. She's at a friend's place thinking I'll apologize. They always think that. Then reality hits hard. Gary recommended commercial-grade deadbolts. Took 45 minutes for all the locks. He handed me 3 sets of new keys. Just need 1 set. Keep the spares anyway. You'll want them when you start over. He refused a tip. Doing the Lord's work here, brother. Good luck. At 9:30, I headed to Home Depot on North Lamar. Made a list on my phone. 25 large moving boxes. Packing tape. Bubble wrap. Black Sharpies. Heavy-duty garbage bags for clothes. While loading my cart, I ran into Troy. Dude, your phone off? Nicole called Kat 10 times yesterday. I'm done, Troy. I meant every word Saturday. Troy looked at my cart. Holy shit. You're serious. 6 months of threats. She wanted to do whatever she wants. Now she can. Nicole's telling everyone you lost your mind. That it was just one comment. Were you there 4 weeks ago at Kat's birthday dinner when she used the exact same threat because I suggested we split an Uber home? I was. Kat's mentioned it a few times actually. Said Nicole's been escalating for months. Then you know this isn't about Saturday. Saturday was just the first time she said it in front of everyone. Kat and I have talked about how you put up with a lot. What can I do? Nothing. But I appreciate you. For what it's worth. About time. Back home, I started packing. Bedroom first. Her side of the closet held designer clothes. She spent over $400 monthly on clothes. Each item folded carefully, placed in boxes. Not vindictive. Methodical. Labeled each box clearly. Clothes, dresses. Clothes, casual. Shoes. 24 pairs of shoes. I'd complained about the spending. She'd threatened to do whatever she wanted with her own money. Each pair wrapped in tissue paper, boxed properly. Her jewelry box. Everything secured in a padded case. Her makeup. An entire drawer. Carefully packed. Her hair products. Packed. I found her self-help books on the nightstand. Boundaries. When to say yes, how to say no. The art of getting what you want. Radical independence. Refusing to compromise yourself. I laughed out loud. She'd been studying for this moment and didn't even know it. I packed the books with particular care. Wrote on the box in Sharpie. Self-help, boundaries, and independence. At 2, I drove to Mozart's Coffee Roasters on Lake Austin. Met attorney Richard Voss on the deck overlooking the water. He was early 50s, sharp eyes, leather portfolio. Walk me through the pattern you mentioned. I provided printed documentation. 47 screenshots of texts with the threat. Timeline of verbal threats dated with witnesses. Record of purchases made after I questioned spending. Pattern of staying out without notice. My attempts to discuss the issue and her responses calling me controlling. Richard reviewed everything for 20 minutes. This is textbook emotional manipulation through repeated threats. Clear pattern. Is that relevant legally? Very. Texas is no fault for divorce itself, but this pattern shows she's been explicitly rejecting marital obligations while enjoying benefits. Helps with property division arguments. We discussed the townhouse. I'd bought it 2 years before marriage. Had all the records. Discussed her credit card debt. Her separate debt, accumulated after marriage on doing what she wants. She's going to argue you blindsided her. That you were controlling. I have witnesses who heard her repeatedly make these threats over 6 months, including Saturday when she did it in front of 20+ people. Richard smiled. You came prepared. Papers can be ready Wednesday. Filing Thursday. She'll be served Friday. Perfect timing. One thing. She's going to be very angry. Don't engage. Forward everything to my office. I paid the retainer from my separate savings account. Back home at 4, I continued packing. By 6, 23 boxes completed. Everything labeled. Everything treated with respect. Stacked neatly in the living room. I ordered pizza from Home Slice and ate on the patio. Dennis came out. Making progress? Almost done. She's got a storage unit waiting. Storage unit? Paid for a month at Lockaway Storage on Ben White. Can't have her stuff on the lawn. Too much risk of weather damage or theft. Needs to be done right. You're being more fair than she deserves. Not about what she deserves. About being able to look at myself in the mirror. Nicole's text started coming at 8. I'm coming home tomorrow around noon. We'll talk then. Then, I think we both need to apologize for Saturday. Then, Brandon, answer me. You're being childish. Finally, fine. I'll see you tomorrow. I didn't respond to any of them. Went to bed early. Best sleep I'd had in 6 months. Tuesday, I finished packing by 11. 25 boxes total, all labeled. Loaded them into my CRV in 2 trips. Drove to the storage unit on Ben White. Unit 247, climate-controlled, 10 by 10. Unloaded everything carefully. Arranged it neatly inside. Took photos for documentation. Closed the unit, kept both keys. One would go to her via the attorney. Tuesday afternoon, I stopped at Whole Foods. Bought myself a nice steak and good bottle of wine. First time in months, I'd bought something extravagant without calculating whether it would trigger a fight. That evening, the house looked different. More my style now. I went through my plan one more time. Locks changed. Check. Belongings packed and stored. Check. Attorney retained. Papers being drafted. Check. Documentation complete. Check. Witnesses ready. Check. Storage unit secured. Check. I drafted a text to Nicole, but wouldn't send it until she arrived. Your belongings are in storage unit 247 at Lockaway Storage, 5424 Ben White Boulevard. Paid through December 15th. Key available through my attorney Richard Voss at 512-555-0147. Locks have been changed. Divorce papers will be served Friday. All future communication goes through attorneys. Tuesday night, Nicole's mother called. I answered. Brandon, what is going on? Nicole says you made a scene Saturday and now won't answer her. Did she mention what she said to me in front of 20 people? She said you overreacted to a comment. She threatened to do whatever she wants for the 47th time in 6 months. I documented every instance. I'm done being threatened. Marriage is about working through disagreements. I tried for 6 months. Every conversation resulted in her calling me controlling and threatening to do what she wants anyway. I gave her what she wanted. You can't just end a marriage over one argument. You're right. I'm ending it over 6 months of repeated threats and escalating dismissiveness. Asked Nicole how many times she said maybe I should just do whatever I want since August. She knows the number. You need to think about this. I spent 6 months thinking while walking on eggshells. I'm done thinking. Have a good evening, Patricia. I hung up. Blocked her number. Felt no guilt. Wednesday morning at 11:45, I sat on my patio pretending to read, actually watching the street. Nicole's silver Mazda turned onto the street at 11:47. She parked in her usual spot, got out carrying an overnight bag. She looked tired, annoyed, but not alarmed yet. She walked to the front door, fumbled with her key, tried again, looked at the key like it had betrayed her, tried harder, jiggling the handle, stepped back, confused, looked at the house number, tried the key again, then walked around to the back door. She rounded the corner and saw me on the patio. "Brandon, what the hell? My key isn't working." "It wouldn't. I changed the locks Monday." She stopped walking. "You what?" "Changed the locks. Monday morning, 8 a.m. You can't do that. This is my house too." "It's my house. I bought it 2 years before we got married. It's separate property." She laughed nervously. "Okay, very funny. You made your point. Now let me in so we can talk." "There's nothing to talk about." "What is that supposed to mean?" "Means exactly what I said Saturday. You should do whatever you want, starting with finding a new place to live." "You're seriously still on about that?" "It was just a comment, Brandon. You're being insane." "Just a comment. Like on October 12th, when you said the same thing about dinner plans? Or October 3rd about the spending? Or September 20th about coming home late? What are you? Have you been keeping a list?" 47 times, Nicole. You've threatened to do whatever you want 47 times since August. She stared. "You counted?" "I documented. Dates, witnesses, screenshots. All of it." "That's psychotic. That's evidence." "Where's my stuff? My clothes, my things?" "Storage unit. Lockaway storage on Ben White Boulevard, Unit 247. Paid through December 15th. "You put my things in storage?" "Everything packed carefully, labeled clearly. Nothing damaged. You can pick up the key from my attorney." "Your attorney?" "Richard Voss. Here's his card." I slid it across the patio table. She didn't take it. "You hired a divorce attorney." "I did. Over one fight at a party. Over 6 months of threats. Over being told constantly that my opinion doesn't matter. Over you using that threat every single time I asked for basic consideration." "That's not." "I didn't. August 14th. I asked if you could check with me before spending $400 on clothes. You said, and I quote, 'Maybe I should just do whatever I want then. It's my money.' I." August 22nd. Asked if you could text me when you'd be home late. Same response. "I should just do whatever I want. You're not my father." "You're really going to." September 3rd, September 11th, September 27th. Want me to keep going? Nicole sat down heavily in the patio chair. "Okay, maybe I said those things, but I didn't mean them literally. It's just something people say when they're frustrated. People who respect their partners don't repeatedly threaten independence every disagreement." "Threaten? I never threatened anything." "What would you call repeatedly saying you'll just do whatever you want, regardless of my input? Expressing myself. Threatening to disregard the marriage any time I suggested we communicate. This is insane. You're blowing this completely out of proportion. Saturday you said it in front of 23 people. I counted. 23 people heard you say I don't get to have a say in your decisions and that you should just do whatever you want." I was annoyed about the restaurant thing. It wasn't about the restaurant. It's never about the specific thing. It's about the pattern. Dennis appeared from his side of the townhome. "Sorry to interrupt, but Nicole, your car is parked in the fire lane." "No, it's not. It's in my spot." "Your spot?" "Brandon owns both units parking. He mentioned yesterday you wouldn't be needing it anymore." Nicole looked at me with horror. "I own the parking rights for both our spots. HOA rule when you buy a corner unit." Dennis nodded. "Need me to call a tow? Are you going to move it?" Nicole stood abruptly. "This is harassment. This is a man who's had enough of being treated poorly in his own home. I've heard every argument through that wall for 6 months, young lady. You got a lot of nerve playing victim." Dennis went back inside. "You talked to the neighbors about our private business?" "I didn't have to. Thin walls." "Dennis heard you scream that threat at me at least a dozen times." Nicole sat back down, softer now. "Brandon, please. Let's just talk about this inside like adults." "I don't want you inside. This is my home. This was my house that I let you move into. There's a difference." She started tearing up. "I can't believe you're doing this. We can work this out. Couples therapy, communication exercises, whatever you want." I wanted basic respect. I wanted a partner who didn't threaten to disregard our marriage every time I had an opinion. I asked for that 6 months ago. And I'm saying I'll work on it. Isn't that what marriage is? Working through problems? Working through problems requires both people acknowledging there's a problem. Every time I brought this up, you told me I was being controlling, paranoid, or dramatic. Because you were making a big deal out of nothing. So you still don't see the problem. She realized her mistake. No, I see it now. Now that you've done all this, I understand it bothered you. It bothered me 6 months ago. It bothered me 4 months ago. It bothered me last month. It took me changing locks for you to suddenly understand. Because this is extreme. You could have. I tried. Multiple times. You dismissed it every single time. I pulled out my phone. October 3rd. I texted you. Can we talk about the spending thing? I'm not trying to control you, but we agreed on a budget. Your response? I read from the screen. Stop being so uptight. I work hard for my money. Maybe I should just do whatever I want with it. I don't remember. September 15th. My text. I'd appreciate a heads up when you'll be late, so I don't worry. It's just courtesy. Your response. I'm an adult. I don't need to check in. Maybe I should just come and go as I please. Okay, but. August 27th. My text. Can we discuss how we make decisions together? I feel like my input doesn't matter. Your response. Your input matters when it's reasonable. Otherwise, I'll just do what makes sense to me. You're cherry picking. I'm reciting them in chronological order. Want me to continue? What do you want from me? You want me to apologize? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said those things. I didn't mean them. You meant them every time. You just didn't think there'd be consequences. That's not true. I love you. I don't want a divorce. You loved having someone who tolerated being threatened. That's not the same thing. She was crying now. Please. Let me get my things at least. Let me come inside. Your things are in storage. The address is on that card. Your key will be available through my attorney by Friday. Friday? What happens Friday? You'll be served with divorce papers. You already filed? Papers are being drawn up. Filing tomorrow. You'll be served Friday. You can't. We have to try to work this out first. There are steps, processes. The process starts when one party decides the marriage is over. I decided. Saturday. When you announced to everyone we know that I don't get a say in your life. Everyone thinks you overreacted. Kat told me people were shocked you made such a scene. Is that what she said? Because Troy told me Monday that Kat's been talking for weeks about how concerning your behavior's been. That's not. Troy also said he witnessed at least 4 separate instances of you using that threat. He's prepared to provide a statement. You're turning our friends against me. I'm not turning anyone. They watched you disrespect me repeatedly and wondered why I tolerated it. Now they know I don't. You're going to look like the bad guy, walking out on his wife over one argument. Except it wasn't one argument. And 23 people heard you say what you said. Several of them heard you say similar things before. The story isn't man overreacts. The story is woman publicly disrespects husband once too often. You've really thought this through, haven't you? I had 6 months to think while being threatened. Plenty of time. Nicole stood abruptly. You know what? Fine. You want to do this? We'll do this. But I'm getting half of everything. This house, your retirement, everything. House is separate property. I have the deed and documentation. Retirement accounts are separate property too. We've been married less than 3 years. Texas is community property. Community property acquired during marriage. I owned this house before we married. My 401k was established before we married. My savings account was established before we married. You're entitled to half of what we acquired together during the marriage. Which is what? The debt you accumulated. About $15,000 in credit card debt from doing whatever you want. We can split that 50-50 if you'd like. This is vindictive. This is reality. You wanted independence while enjoying security. Can't have both. I'm calling a lawyer. A real one. And I'm going to take you for everything. Good. Have them call Richard Voss. The number's on that card you haven't picked up yet. She headed to her car. You're going to regret this. That's funny. What's funny? That's the first threat you've made that I actually believe you'll try to follow through on. Usually they're empty. They weren't empty. Then why are you surprised I took you seriously? She stood frozen, the logic hitting her. You can't have it both ways, Nicole. Either the threats were serious, which means I'm justified in responding seriously, or they were empty manipulation tactics, which means you were emotionally abusing me for 6 months. Which is it? You're twisting everything. I'm just following your logic to its natural conclusion. She got in her car, and slammed the door. Tires squealed slightly as she drove away. I went back inside, texted my attorney. She knows. Reacted exactly as expected. She's planning to hire an attorney and take me for everything. Richard replied immediately. Good. Let her try. The documentation makes this straightforward. Papers will be ready tomorrow as planned. I sat on the couch in the quiet house. No more tension. No more calculating safe topics. Just peace. Dennis knocked on our shared wall. Our signal. I went to the patio. He handed me a beer. Hell of a day. That it was. She'll be back. I know. You ready for that? More ready than I've been for anything in 6 months. 3 weeks later, I drove to Kirby Lane Cafe on South Lamar for breakfast. Saturday morning, mid-November. First time I'd been out socially since the incident. I felt peaceful, not anxious. Inside, the restaurant was packed. The hostess asked, just one. Meeting someone. I'll wait at the bar. I was meeting Troy for casual breakfast. Sat at the bar with coffee. Then I noticed Nicole across the restaurant. She was at a table with 3 women. Friends from her work. She hadn't seen me yet. I debated leaving. Decided I had nothing to hide. Troy walked in. Hey man. Oh shit. Is that Nicole? Yeah. I saw her. Wanna bounce? No. We're here. She doesn't own the restaurant. The hostess led us past Nicole's table. Nicole saw me mid-sentence. Stopped talking. Stared. One of her friends followed Nicole's gaze, recognized me. I nodded politely. Nicole. Kept walking. Sat at a booth with Troy, back to Nicole's table. Well, that wasn't awkward at all. Troy said. It's fine. You really okay seeing her? Honestly. Yeah. I feel nothing. No anger, no regret. Just nothing. That's wild, man. 3 weeks ago you were married. 3 weeks ago I was being threatened. Now I'm not. I'll take this. Kat says Nicole's been calling mutual friends trying to get support. Not going well. What do you mean? Apparently, she told Jenny you were controlling and abusive. Jenny asked for examples. Nicole said you monitored her spending and demanded to know where she was. Jenny asked if you actually prevented her from buying things or going places. Nicole said no, but you made her feel bad about it. Made her feel bad about it. Right? So Jenny asked what you actually did. Nicole couldn't come up with anything except that you asked questions and wanted to discuss the budget. Jenny apparently said that sounds like normal marriage stuff, and Nicole lost it. Called her brainwashed by the patriarchy. I laughed. Jenny's one of the most independent women I know. Exactly. Nicole's alienating everyone by overstating her case. If she'd said we grew apart or wanted different things, people would be sympathetic. But she keeps trying to make you the villain, and the stories don't add up. I glanced back casually. Nicole's friends looked uncomfortable. One woman kept checking her phone. Nicole was talking animatedly, hands gesturing. I could read the body language. She was complaining. She's telling them her version right now. Troy looked. Yep, and they look like they're not buying it. Our food arrived. We talked about other things. Football. Troy's kids' school play. Normal conversation. It felt good. No tension. No calculating what was safe to say. Just existing. A woman approached our table. Late 20s, blonde, fit, carrying a to-go bag. Brandon? Hi, I'm Ashley Porter. We met briefly at Barton Springs a few weeks ago. I stood. Oh, hey. Yeah, I remember. I hope this isn't weird, but I wanted to say hi. And I heard about your situation. I just wanted to say I think you handled it really well. Thanks. That's kind of you. I've been in a relationship where someone used threats to manipulate me. Took me way too long to leave. Watching you just calmly walk away. That was inspiring. Troy grinned. I'm Troy, by the way. Brandon's friend. Hi, Troy. Sorry to interrupt your breakfast. No, it's fine. Really. Would it be okay if I gave you my number? Maybe we could grab coffee sometime. No pressure, just if you want to talk or whatever. Yeah, sure. That'd be nice. We exchanged numbers. Great. Text me when things settle down. Or before. Whatever works. She smiled and left. Troy laughed. Dude. What? That's the 3rd woman who's expressed interest in 3 weeks. You know that, right? 3rd. Kat's friend Morgan asked about you last week. And that woman from my company happy hour asked if you were single. You're suddenly hot commodity. That's ridiculous. No. That's what happens when women see a guy who knows his worth. They've all watched their friends put up with shit from guys who couldn't commit or set boundaries. You're the opposite. Committed enough to try for months, strong enough to leave when it didn't work. Across the restaurant, Nicole's table was breaking up. Her friends were leaving. Nicole sat alone for a moment, staring at her phone. She looked up and saw Ashley talking to me. Her face showed shock, anger, something like grief. She watched Ashley leave, saw me and Troy laughing, saw me looking happy. She stood abruptly, threw money on the table, and left quickly. Walked past our table without looking. She saw Ashley. Troy said, "Yep. How's that feel?" Like justice. Not revenge. Just natural consequences. 2 months later, in January, I sat in Richard's office for the settlement meeting. Nicole and her attorney sat across the conference table. First time I'd seen Nicole in person since the restaurant. She looked different. Thinner, tired, harder somehow. Her attorney spoke first. "My client is willing to accept the settlement if terms are reasonable. Nicole requests $15,000 in spousal support." Richard responded immediately. "Based on what?" They were married less than 3 years. "Based on her financial position when entering the marriage versus now. Her financial position is worse because of debt she accumulated independently against her husband's advice. We have documentation." Nicole's attorney looked at her. She looked away. "Fine. We'll withdraw the spousal support request. However, she wants compensation for the emotional distress." Emotional distress caused by being held accountable for her own behavior? That's not compensable. I stayed silent and watched Nicole. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Suddenly Nicole spoke. "Can we just stop, please?" "Nicole," her attorney started. "No, this is ridiculous. You told me we might get something. We're not getting anything. I know that." She looked at me. "I know I screwed up, okay? I know I said things I shouldn't have. I know I pushed you away." I said nothing. "Say something. What would you like me to say? That you forgive me? That we can move past this?" "No. Just no. Just no. You want me to make you feel better about this? I'm not going to." She started crying. "I never meant to hurt you. You meant exactly what you said, every time you said it. You just didn't think I'd ever take you seriously." "That's not true. Nicole, we can do this all day. Or we can sign papers, split what little marital property exists, and move on. Your choice." Richard slid a document across the table. "This is our proposed settlement. Nicole keeps everything in storage unit, her car, her personal effects. Brandon keeps house, retirement accounts, savings, all of which were his separate property anyway. No spousal support. Each party pays own attorney fees. Signed today, filed tomorrow, final in 30 days." Nicole's attorney reviewed the document with her in whispered conversation. She was crying and nodding. "My client will sign." Documents were signed. Nicole stood immediately and left without looking at me. Her attorney paused at the door. For what it's worth, she really is sorry. I'm sure she's sorry she got caught. Less sure she's sorry for the behavior. "Fair enough. Good luck to you." Richard turned to me after they left. "How you feeling?" "Free." 1 month later, in February, the divorce was finalized. I got an email from Richard. "Divorce decree entered. You're officially single. Congratulations on handling this with dignity." I stared at the email for a moment. Felt relief, peace, closure. Also felt nothing about Nicole. No residual anger. No lingering affection. Just a closed chapter. I texted Ashley. "We've been seeing each other casually for a few weeks. Divorce finalized today. How are you feeling?" "Good. Really good. Like I can fully move forward now." "Want to celebrate?" "Nothing big, just dinner?" "Yeah, that sounds perfect." Late February, a Sunday morning. Ashley and I walked around Lady Bird Lake Trail. Gorgeous Texas February day, 72 degrees. Ashley brought her dog Scout, a rescue mix. We stopped at one of the overlooks. "Can I tell you something?" Ashley asked. "Always." "I really admire how you handled everything with Nicole. Not just the divorce, but how you handled yourself." "What do you mean?" "You could have been vindictive. You could have been cruel. You could have made it ugly. But you didn't. You just stood firm on what you deserved. That's all anyone can do, right? Know their worth and not settle for less. Most people don't, though. Most people either accept being treated poorly or blow up dramatically. You did neither. I spent a long time accepting it. Longer than I should have. But you got there. That's what matters." We kept walking. Scout ran ahead, chasing birds unsuccessfully. "You know what I learned from all this?" I asked. "What?" "That threats, even empty ones, are deal breakers. If someone repeatedly threatens to leave, to do whatever they want, to disregard your input, believe them. They're telling you who they are. And who was Nicole? Someone who wanted independence without responsibility, who wanted all the benefits of partnership with none of the obligations, who used threats to avoid compromise. And who are you? I stopped walking and looked at her. Someone who knows what he deserves now. Someone who won't settle for being threatened or dismissed. Someone who's ready to be with someone who actually wants a partner. Good answer. We kissed for the first time. Soft and easy. Scout barked, impatient to keep walking. We laughed and continued on. Walking with Ashley, watching Scout, feeling the sunshine, I thought about 6 months ago. I'd been walking on eggshells in my own life, calculating every word before I spoke, accepting threats as normal communication. I didn't know who I was anymore. Now I was divorced, dating someone who respected me, sleeping peacefully, living authentically. Nicole wanted to do whatever she wanted. She got exactly that. And I got exactly what I deserved. Peace, respect, and a chance to start over with someone who values partnership. Her empty threat met my real action, and that made all the difference. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.